Have you ever felt that a certain relationship in your life was draining your peace, confidence, or self-respect? In today's video, we're diving into 9 key signs that it might be time to consider cutting ties, whether it's with a close friend or even a family member. Picture this: someone constantly makes you feel guilty, judged, or only valued when you meet their expectations. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realizing this can give you the strength to protect your inner peace. Creating distance isn't selfish, it's a necessary step to preserve your peace and self-worth. This video will not only help you identify dangerous red flags, but also guide you on how to confront them without guilt or hesitation. Stick around until the end, because I'll reveal a subtle yet powerful form of manipulation that many people overlook, and show you how to break free from it for good. If you find these insights helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss out on valuable tips for building a strong mindset and fostering healthy relationships. Now, let's begin the journey to reclaim the freedom and respect you truly deserve. The first sign to watch out for: stay away from people who are never willing to share or spend money in relationships. Have you ever met someone whose first response to any plan is always, "I don't have money"? At first, this might seem understandable if they're truly struggling, but oddly enough, these people often lead quite comfortable lives. They indulge in personal pleasures, travel, and immerse themselves in hobbies. Yet, when it's your turn, they conveniently use financial excuses to avoid their responsibilities or obligations. This isn't about poverty. It's a calculated behavior. If you've encountered someone like this, take a moment to reflect. This is not a sign of a balanced or genuine relationship. I once had a friend like this. Whenever we planned something together, he always claimed he didn't have enough money. But I noticed he had no problem splurging on luxury items or trying to impress others. One day, when he backed out of a trip we had planned for ages, I realized the issue wasn't financial. He simply didn't value my presence. That was the moment I understood. Relationships like this couldn't last. They aren't built on fairness or genuine care. In any relationship, be it friends, family, or partners, mutual sharing and support are essential. If you're always the one giving while the other person takes without reciprocating, the relationship becomes unbalanced and potentially burdensome. Remember, healthy relationships are founded on equality, respect, and mutual care. If someone treats you merely as a resource to exploit, don't hesitate to set clear boundaries or even walk away. Your life deserves to be filled with connections that bring joy and mutual understanding. Sign 2. Steer clear of people who are constantly argumentative and biased. Have you ever felt trapped in a relationship where every conversation seems to spiral into a tense argument? This often happens when you're dealing with people who thrive on endless debates. These individuals not only blow minor issues out of proportion, but also try to drag you into their conflicts, forcing you to take sides. This behavior not only drains their lives, but also robs your relationship of peace. Let me share a personal experience. I had a friend like this. On the surface, he seemed confident and charismatic, but whenever we had a difference of opinion, he would immediately escalate it. into a heated debate. Once, during a casual gathering with friends, we were discussing plans for a trip. A small disagreement arose, and he quickly pulled me into the argument, demanding that I publicly take his side in front of everyone. That moment changed how I viewed the relationship. Peace in a relationship is priceless. If someone constantly drags you into unnecessary arguments or pressures you to choose sides in their conflicts, it's time to set boundaries. A healthy relationship is never built on control or favoritism, but rather on mutual understanding and respect. Be brave enough to protect your peace, because you deserve relationships that bring positivity and joy into your life. I've realized that maintaining a balanced and healthy relationship with someone who constantly instigates conflicts and forces others to take sides is nearly impossible. Arguments are not a sign of intelligence or strength. On the contrary, they reveal a lack of emotional control and a deep sense of insecurity. People who are always looking for a fight not only harm their relationships, but also miss opportunities for personal growth. A wise person knows that it's unnecessary to win every argument. Instead, they value peace, understanding, and the ability to solve problems calmly. If you find yourself stuck in a cycle of constant quarrels or frequently being dragged into unnecessary conflicts, take a moment to pause and reflect. Learning to cultivate calmness not only safeguards your relationships, but also, more importantly, keeps your soul at peace. In life, harmonious relationships and a peaceful mind are invaluable treasures. Cherish them and have the courage to walk away from what hurts you. Life is too short to waste on unnecessary conflict. Sign 3. Stay away from people who dismiss the worries of others. Life is a journey where everyone carries their own burdens. No two worries are identical. Joy or sorrow has relative value, neither can truly be compared. Yet one of the most disheartening experiences is sharing your struggles with someone, only to have them downplay your concerns or shift the focus to their own problems, as if your challenges don't matter. This isn't just disrespectful, it damages trust and erodes the foundation of any relationship. I remember once confiding in a long-time friend about the challenges of balancing work and caring for aging parents. Instead of listening or offering empathy, he brushed aside my concerns and immediately steered the conversation toward his own work stress, as if my struggles didn't even exist. That experience left me not just disappointed, but deeply hurt. It made me realize that relationships can only endure when both sides genuinely respect and listen to each other. Empathy isn't about comparing pain, it's about sharing it and understanding it together. If you notice someone consistently disregarding what you're going through, it might be time to rethink that relationship. You deserve to be surrounded by people who respect, listen to, and value your feelings. Respect isn't always found in grand gestures. Often, it's in the simplest actions, a heartfelt thank you when someone helps, or a sincere apology when you've caused harm. These small but genuine acts aren't just polite, they're the foundation of meaningful relationships. It's also essential to avoid people who lack gratitude, those who can't celebrate your successes or empathize with your struggles. Someone who takes pleasure in others' pain doesn't just lack compassion, they reveal a chilling indifference. While you can't control how others behave, you can absolutely choose who you allow into your life. Build relationships rooted in respect, gratitude, and sincere care. Surround yourself with people who genuinely want to see you happy, who celebrate your joys and comfort you in your sorrows. A truly beautiful relationship never includes mocking or trivializing someone else's pain. Living with compassion not only helps you cultivate meaningful relationships, but also adds depth and value to your own life. Showing kindness to others is a way of honoring the humanity within yourself. Sign 4. Distance yourself from people who impose their religious or political beliefs on you. Each of us is unique. It's these differences that add beauty to our relationships. True connection doesn't come from forcing others to mirror our beliefs. It comes from recognizing and appreciating differences to create shared values. However, some people insist on imposing their religious or political views on others. This behavior is not only exhausting, but also deeply damaging to relationships. I recall a former close friend who always tried to convince me that his lifestyle and beliefs were the only correct way. He would urge me to change my perspectives during every conversation. At first, I engaged in debates to defend my views, but I found myself emotionally and mentally drained after each discussion. Over time, I realized these arguments didn't foster understanding or closeness. They only drove us further apart. A healthy relationship doesn't require you to abandon your values or beliefs to please someone else. Instead, it thrives on mutual respect for differences and freedom of thought. If you encounter someone who persistently tries to impose their opinions on you, be brave enough to set boundaries or even walk away. Focus your energy and time on relationships that nurture mutual respect, spaces where you can be yourself without the pressure to change just to fit someone else's mold. Why pointless arguments are harmful. Meaningless debates rarely lead to positive outcomes. When both sides are too focused on defending their egos, conversations easily devolve into battles with no real winner. Even if you win an argument, the satisfaction is fleeting and often comes at a cost the other person's self-esteem. The bigger consequence isn't just a loss of respect, but also lingering resentment and unintended harm to the relationship. Wise individuals understand that proving themselves right isn't the ultimate goal. Instead, they choose to listen, empathize, and know when to step back. True victory in a relationship isn't about outsmarting the other person. It's about overcoming your own ego by letting go of the need to always be right. You create space for harmony and understanding. These are the foundations of deeper, more enduring connections. Find peace within. Letting go of the need to argue not only strengthens your relationships, but also brings you genuine inner peace, a gift no debate can provide. If you've read this far, comment with the word peace, so I know you're also on this journey of finding calm and self-improvement. Let's continue learning, growing, and building a better life together. Sign 5. If you feel distressed when meeting a friend, it's time to distance yourself. Have you ever noticed that people who once brought you joy and laughter now make you feel distant or uncomfortable? This doesn't mean you've done something wrong or that they've changed for the worse. It simply means that time and life have led you both down different paths. Life is constantly changing, and so are we. Our interests, values, and perspectives evolve over time. As a result, relationships that were once perfectly in sync can gradually fall out of harmony. I recall a story from a colleague. He had a childhood friend with whom he shared countless cherished memories. Watching movies, playing sports, and dreaming about the future together. But as they grew up, life took them in different directions. One moved to a big city to build a career and family, while the other stayed in their hometown, living a simpler life. Their rare reunions were no longer the same. Conversations became awkward, revolving around polite small talk, accompanied by an indescribable sense of estrangement. My colleague admitted that he tried hard to maintain the friendship, but the more he tried, the more he realized they had drifted too far apart to reconnect as they once did. This doesn't mean the friendship lost its value. It simply fulfilled its role in a certain phase of life. Learning to let go isn't a failure. It's a form of respect for both yourself and the other person. Remember, true friendship shouldn't make you feel pressured or distressed. If you find yourself exhausted from maintaining a relationship, it might be time to move on and make room for new connections that bring genuine peace and joy. Instead of clinging to a relationship that's no longer the same, my colleague chose to step back, not because he no longer cared, but because he understood that sometimes letting go is the best way to honor the changes both have experienced. Relationships are like a dance, requiring both partners to move in harmony. When the rhythm no longer aligns, both parties may feel uncomfortable or even drained. In such situations, rather than blaming yourself or the other person, sometimes the wisest choice is to accept the change and step back. This doesn't mean you have to erase someone from your life. It's simply about creating space for both of you to grow in your own ways. A gentle farewell, given with respect, is often healthier than forcing a connection that no longer fits. Life is ever-changing, and relationships are no exception. The key is knowing when to hold on and when to let go. Cherish the beautiful memories you've shared, but don't hesitate to let the relationship become a treasured part of your past. Letting go is not only a way to respect the other person, but also yourself. It gives you the opportunity to move forward, to open up to new connections, and to nurture a more fulfilling life. Remember, stepping back is sometimes the first step in the growth journey for both parties. Sign 6. Avoid people who constantly complain about themselves. Have you ever felt like an emotional dumping ground? A place where someone comes solely to unload their sadness, frustrations, and endless complaints. Of course, everyone needs a shoulder to lean on during tough times, but genuine sharing comes from empathy, not selfishness. Someone who constantly complains without considering your feelings isn't seeking companionship. They're using you to offload their burdens. This doesn't just drain your energy. It pulls you into a whirlwind of negativity. You don't deserve to endure. I remember a former friend and colleague, Lucy, who used to be very close. There was a period when my mother was seriously ill, and I was struggling to juggle work and caregiving responsibilities. It was a time when I desperately needed emotional support. Instead, every day, Lucy would come to me, not to comfort me, not to check how I was doing, but to vent her endless grievances. She'd complain, "I hate this job. My boss is the worst. My husband never helps me with anything." Even when I tried to share my worries about my mother, Lucy would quickly steer the conversation back to her own problems. Talking to her felt like being caught in an emotional storm, leaving me utterly exhausted. One day, after my mom had undergone a major surgery, Lucy called to complain that I wasn't responding to her texts quickly enough. That was the breaking point. I realized I needed to set boundaries. I told her, "Lucy, I can't keep doing this. I have so much on my plate right now and need people around me who can understand and share the burden." She fell silent, and gradually we drifted apart. It wasn't an easy decision, but I knew it was the right one to protect my own mental health. We must understand that not all grievances need to be shared, and no one is obligated to be a dumping ground for someone else's emotions unless they're genuinely seeking solutions. Learn to listen selectively, establish boundaries, and prioritize relationships with people who genuinely care about your feelings. Listening isn't just about using your ears. It's about observing and empathizing. Foster relationships where both sides feel valued and understood. Above all, remember this: while the world may not always be kind, you can always choose to be kind to yourself. Sign 7. Avoid people who disregard promises or break them easily. Have you ever waited for someone only to realize they weren't going to show up? Maybe they offered a flimsy excuse, or worse, no explanation at all. How did it feel to realize you weren't a priority in their life? A promise is more than just words. It's a commitment, a reflection of respect and trust. One of the most heartbreaking feelings is when someone not only breaks a promise, but doesn't even remember they made it. This doesn't just erode trust. It makes you feel like an afterthought in their life. I remember one occasion sitting at my favorite cafe, waiting for a friend, as we had planned. At first I thought maybe she was stuck in traffic or dealing with an emergency. But after an hour, I got a message. "Oh no, I totally forgot. We had plans today." This wasn't the first time it had happened, and I realized tolerating this lack of consideration was only hurting me. She wasn't trying to hurt me intentionally, but her indifference and inability to keep her promises spoke volumes. When a relationship becomes an emotional burden, and respect and commitment are no longer its foundation, it's time to reassess. Value yourself. Remember, respecting yourself sometimes means walking away from relationships that no longer serve you. Healthy relationships are never built on empty promises or indifference. Listen to your emotions. You deserve relationships where promises are kept and mutual respect is upheld. If someone can't offer you that, don't hesitate to move on. Every time you say no to those who don't respect you, you're making space for better people to enter your life. Always remember, you are not only worthy of love, but also of respect, both in words and in actions. Sign 8. Steer clear of people who dwell on the same worry over and over. Have you ever met someone who, when sharing their worries, doesn't seem to be looking for a solution, but just temporary comfort? On its own, this isn't wrong. Everyone needs empathy and someone to talk to. However, if you notice that someone keeps rehashing the same issue without ever trying to resolve it, or worse, dismisses your advice repeatedly, this relationship might be holding both of you back. I remember a former colleague who often came to me to complain about work. At first, I thought she just needed someone to vent to. I listened attentively and even took the time to offer specific suggestions to help her improve her situation. But time and again, she rejected my advice and continued complaining about the same things during every conversation. Eventually, I realized she wasn't truly looking to change. Instead, she wanted someone to validate that her worries were justified. A relationship like this doesn't foster growth. It traps both you and the other person in a negative cycle. You invest energy in listening and offering solutions, while they make no effort to address their problems. Sometimes, the best way to help someone is by setting boundaries. You can express your care while letting them know that you can't keep engaging in the same unproductive discussions unless they're willing to take steps to change their situation. Remember, a healthy relationship should encourage growth for both sides, not drain you with unresolved issues. Listening and supporting someone is meaningful, but only when the other person values that support and strives to make progress. Don't hesitate to step back if you feel the relationship is holding you back. Your inner balance and peace of mind are what matter most. One day, I decided to try a different approach. I told her, I truly value our relationship, but if we keep circling around the same problem like this, it won't benefit either of us. If you really want to improve things, I'm always here to help, but that change has to start with you. She didn't take it well, but I knew I had done the right thing. Listening to others is a beautiful and kind act. However, listening without any progress can exhaust both parties. If you're a true friend, be brave enough to offer honest advice, even if it's hard to hear. Lasting friendships aren't built on superficial sympathy. They're nurtured by mutual support and encouragement to grow together. Kindness isn't just offering comfort during tough times. It's also helping someone overcome their challenges. This requires honesty and sometimes firmness, but that's what creates true value in a relationship. If you can help someone see the right path and inspire them to make a change, you're not just being a good friend, you're contributing to their growth. Be kind, but strong enough to keep the relationship balanced and meaningful. The final sign: avoid people who boast excessively. Have you ever met someone who always steers every conversation back to their glorious past? They repeatedly recount old achievements as if those moments are the sole measure of their worth. At first, these stories might seem intriguing or even admirable, but over time, you realize it's just a facade, covering a void and a lack of purpose in their current life. This habit not only makes the relationship shallow, but also reveals their struggle to move forward. I once knew someone like this. He would constantly talk about prestigious awards he had won years ago. Whenever the opportunity arose, he would go into great detail about his victories. But when the conversation shifted to his present life, he would avoid the topic or quickly change the subject. It became clear that he was stuck in the past, clinging to old accomplishments as his only source of self-esteem. The sad truth is, instead of earning admiration, his behavior gradually pushed people away. From this experience, we can learn that boasting about the past doesn't enhance your value in the eyes of others. On the contrary, it may make them feel disconnected or even undervalued. A genuinely confident and happy person doesn't need to rely on old glories to affirm their worth. They focus on the present and let their current life speak for itself. Remember, humility not only makes you more likable, but also strengthens relationships built on authenticity and mutual respect. As the saying goes, silence is golden. Those who truly understand this are often the ones most cherished. Instead of boasting, let your actions and present growth serve as the most convincing proof of your worth. Relationships founded on sincerity and living in the moment will always outlast superficial words of self-praise. Relationships in life should be built on respect, equality, and sincerity. If a relationship leaves you feeling burdened, or if someone treats you merely as a dumping ground for their frustrations, a platform for boasting, or a source to exploit, it disrupts the balance and can cause harm to your well-being. The key is learning to set personal boundaries, having the courage to step away from toxic relationships and focusing on nurturing those that bring peace and foster growth. Each of us deserves to be respected, not for what we do for others, but for the true value of how we live and treat ourselves and those around us. Maturity in relationships doesn't come from trying to change others. It comes from accepting differences, choosing relationships that align with your values, and letting go of those that no longer serve you well. Life is short. Invest your time and energy in people and connections that bring joy, uplift you, and add genuine meaning to your journey. I'd love to hear your story about the challenges you've overcome or the small victories you're proud of. Don't forget to hit subscribe to Stoic Station, turn on notifications, and leave a comment below to share your thoughts. If you're unsure what to say, simply writing the word peace is enough to let us know you're here with us. Your engagement helps this community grow, a space where we can all learn together and turn challenges into opportunities for growth. I've also included suggested videos to help you continue your journey of self-discovery. Thank you for taking the time to join us, and I'll see you in the next video.